um, Vaman Dev, let's just say quick prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we are reading chapter 20, where this is at this point Vamanadev, Krishna's come as Vamanadev, and he has placed his request for 3 pieces of land to Bali Maharaj, who is the grandson of the glorious Prahlad Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj is a devotee himself. And Shukracharya, who is Bali Maharaj's spiritual master, has figured out what's happening. He's figured out that this Vaman Dev is not as small as we think. He knows that this is Krishna, and he's trying to get everything away from Bali Maharaj. So Shukracharya resists Bali Maharaj from making the dhan or the donation. And this chapter is a pretty beautiful chapter that basically we get an insight of how Bali Maharaj defends himself against Shukracharya, what is going on inside Shukracharya's mind, and the conversation that happens between them. And a lot of what I'll be talking about is mostly I've heard from other lecturers. So I found this interesting piece where Shukracharya actually curses Bali Maharaj, but Mahavishnu inspires Saraswati to say the same verse, but actually in a slightly modified manner that ends up being a blessing to Bali Maharaj instead of a curse. Overall, we'll be looking at how Bali Maharaj surrenders everything that he has to Lord Vishnu. And if anybody is interested in reading, if you can just raise your hands, we can just read just the translations, and we can expand on top of that. Vishal Prakash Prabhu, thank you for volunteering. Are you able to see my text? Is this big enough, the font?
Yes, Mataji. I have it open anyway on my side as well.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful Kirtan, Prabhu. If you can just start reading the text.
Sure.
Maybe we'll start with the first 10 verses.
Okay. Text 1. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, when Bali Maharaj was thus advised by his spiritual master Shukracharya, his family priest, he remained silent for some time, and then after full deliberation, he replied to his spiritual master as follows. Bali Maharaj said, as you have already stated, the principle of religion that does not hinder one's economic development, sense gratification, fame and means of livelihood is the real occupational duty of the householder. I also think that this religious principle is correct. I am the grandson of Maharaj Prahlad. How can I withdraw my promise because of greed for money when I have already said that I shall give this land? How can I behave like an ordinary cheater, especially towards a Brahmana? There is nothing more sinful than untruthfulness. Because of this, Mother Earth once said, I can bear any heavy thing except a person who's a liar. I do not fear hell, poverty, an ocean of distress, fall down from my position, or even death itself, as much as I fear cheating a Brahmana. My lord, you can also see that all the material opulences of this world are certainly separated from their possessor at death. Therefore, if the Brahmana, Vamanadev, is not satisfied by whatever gifts one has given, why not please him with the riches one is destined to lose at death? Dadichi, Sibi, and many other great personalities were willing to sacrifice even their lives for the benefit of the people in general. This is the evidence of history. So why not give up this insignificant land? What is the serious consideration against it? O best of the Brahmanas, certainly the great demoniac kings who were never reluctant to fight enjoyed this world. But in due course of time, everything that they had was taken away, except their reputation, by which they continue to exist. In other words, one should try to achieve a good reputation instead of anything else. O best of the Brahmanas, Many men have laid down their lives on the battlefield, being unafraid of fighting, but rarely has one gotten the chance to give his accumulated wealth faithfully to a saintly person who creates holy places. By giving charity, a benevolent and merciful person undoubtedly becomes even more auspicious, especially when he gives charity to a person like you, your good self. Under the circumstances, I must give this little brahmachari whatever charity he wants from me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for reading these verses, Prabhu. Um, so before I'm just going to give an outline of my understanding. But before that, I think like Vaman avatar is one of the most special. I think every avatar is special, but just for this context, it's one of the most special avatars because um, this is one of the very few avatars where Krishna actually displays this wonderful quality of Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, which translates to smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest. Not a lot of avatars actually exhibit this quality. I think Varaha, Matsya, and Vamana are one of the very few avatars where he comes as a dwarf, but smaller than the smallest, and he becomes like the bigger than the biggest. And that's what Trivikrama also actually stands for. Three actually means three. V in Sanskrit is it kind of translates to special depending on the context. Here it's like three special, and krama means steps. So the one who took three special steps, and by taking those three special steps, he actually like made this, proved that this whole universe belongs to no one else but just him. Trivakrama also actually means veiler. So there are different interpretations given by acharyas. And this avatar is actually like also mentioned in I think in Dasavatara Stotram, Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So it's a very, very special, very relishable pastime. And in the 10 verses that Vishal Prakash Prabhu actually read, we can actually pick out some patterns in which Bali Maharaj thinks, and what could have Shukacharya said that makes Bali Maharaj says statements. Like you can actually consistently see that he's someone who sticks to the principles of irreligion. So Prabhupada actually writes in these purports that Shukracharya actually disqualified himself as a spiritual master because he violated the rules of Guru. So Guru is someone who should take their disciples back to Godhead. But Shukracharya here actually did exactly the opposite by preventing Bali Maharaj to not offer the charity to Vaman Dev. And here we can also take a lot of practical qualities home with us. Like here Bali Maharaj says material reputation, sense gratification, and economic development are very, very important for householder. But Prabhupada mentions that these three qualities have taken so much prominence in Kali Yuga that we are all just focusing on justice and then given up the root the root reason for these, which is Krishna Bhakti. And Prabhupada also writes, I don't remember if Prabhupada writes or I heard it elsewhere, but there are I think this is written in Harivamsha, where there are 6 rules for surrender. And the first one is Anukulasya Sankalpaha Pratikulasya Varjanam, which means I will do whatever is favorable for my bhakti, and I'll give up on what is not favorable for my bhakti. And Bali Maharaj actually is living by the principles. He's speaking based on the principles of religion. So he's saying, I cannot cheat towards a brahmana. Like I've given my word, and I think in the previous chapter, Shukracharya actually like gives a couple of reasons why it's okay to cheat. So he basically says, oh, unless you say the word Om, your promises don't hold. You didn't say the word Om, so it's okay for you to cheat. You can also jokingly cheat, like he kind of like places these arguments, but Bali Maharaj is very dhrida. He's very determined. He's like, no, I cannot cheat a brahmana. And Prabhupada also writes about how for Bhumi Mata, Bhuma Devi, she can take any weight, but the weight of a liar. Like she cannot take untruthful people. And it's really interesting to know that, because lying is a very common, yeah, like whatever, I'll lie, so what. That's like a nature that we prominently see. And Prabhupada actually writes in these purports about how Bali Maharaj is a Kripa Siddha. So there is one particular kind of devotees who are called as Kripa Siddhas. So Kripa Siddhas are basically, they've gotten the absolute mercy by Krishna himself and their spiritual masters. So they are already delivered. And Bali Maharaj is actually a Kripa Siddha. So at the end of after I present, I want you guys to guess who else are Kripa Siddhas. Like that's just like a quick guessing quiz that we can have. And Bali Maharaj basically refutes how he cannot cheat Brahmana, and he makes a very logical argument. He's like, I'm going to lose all of these riches anyway when I die. Why should I not part this with someone as someone who's a rightful owner? Like he looks at Vamanadeva and he's like, he seems like a Brahmana who deserves this. Like, why should I not give it? Because I'm not going to carry this with me when I'm dead. Like, why should I not give it up? Like, why can I not use this wealth to satisfy him? And he also places importance on reputation. It's even if I go poverty stricken and if I die, I will still be famous. Like I'll still hold my reputation that I stuck to my word. I still donated all my wealth to a Brahmana, and even if I'm poverty stricken, that's fine, but I'll still uphold my reputation. Like why should I not do that? Like Bali Maharaj is hardly disturbed by giving up his wealth, and he actually makes a decision to ignore the advice of Shukracharya. He sees this as a chance to give a worthy gift to someone who's actually worthy of receiving it. Excuse me. So the overall characteristics that we can pick up and learn from is Bali Maharaj sticking to the principles of religion, truthfulness, understanding that I am not the possessor. Like I'm not going to take all of this wealth wherever I go. This is all given to me. If I can give it to someone worthy, and if I can give this to someone who's worthy of it, let me give it. I'm not attached. So it's a very interesting contrast, because this is Bali Maharaj / disciples thinking, whereas his own guru Shukracharya has exactly diametrically opposite way of thinking. So this was just like a rough presentation of like what I understood from these 10 verses. I'm just going to open up the floor for more discussions, and before that, just going back to what we talked about earlier, if anybody else can think of any other Kripa Siddhas that we might have come across Bhagavatam, please share it via the Zoom over here.
Hare Krishna, Lekha Mataji. Thank you so much for such a nice summary and such a nice description of the first 10 verses. So Kripa Siddhas, so there's Sadhana Siddhas and Kripa Siddhas. So Kripa Siddhas are the ones who, by the mercy of Guru or by Krishna, they immediately attain perfection. So the example is in this chapter. It's so Bali Maharaj is a Kripa Siddha. Krishna Prabhu, can you mute your phone? Okay, so Bali Maharaj is a Kripa Siddha because he received the Kripa or the mercy from Prahlad Maharaj, actually. So Prahlad Maharaj is the one who gave him that Kripa, the mercy. The other example of Kripa Siddha is the wife of the Brahmanas. And it is also mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami is also a Kripa Siddha. So these are 3 examples that I want to mention. Thank you.
Nice, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. I think Shukadev Goswami is also a Kripa Siddha, right, Prabhu? Like because of Vyasadev.
Yes, I mentioned, yeah. So Sukadeva Goswami is the last example I mentioned, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed out on that. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. So,
So just quick thing. Aren't everyone Kripa Siddhas because you need Kripa, right? To succeed. In one sense, everyone is a Kripa Siddha.
yes, Prabhu, my understanding is that so for Kripa Siddhas, they are actually in the state of they've attained perfection in devotional service. So most of us are still sadhana bhaktas in the sense we are still working or in the path of progression. Yes, we do have mercy of Krishna and Guru, but we are also letting go of our anarthas, or we are probably holding ourselves back. But for Kripa Siddhas, they are like completely on the state of like perfection. Nothing holding them back. Gaurukuma Prabhu, is that a correct understanding?
Yes, Mataji. So basically what happens is, in the case of Kripa Siddhas, they attain immediate perfection at one moment because of the mercy. So in the case of Bali Maharaj, he was a Kripa Siddha because although he received the mercy of Prahlad Maharaj and the mercy of his gurus, the moment the lotus feet of Vaman Dev touched his head, that's when he received complete perfection. So like that, there are examples like that, like the wives of the Brahmana, Sukadeva Goswami. The moment he heard the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam by the disciples of his father Vyasadeva, then immediately he attained perfection. So those are examples where that are given for Kripa Siddhas.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, does anyone have any reflections on or points that they want to expand on for these first 10 verses?
So
Can you summarize your points, Mataji? Just one sentence summary of what all the points that you made.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. So my one line summary is be like Bali Maharaj. Basically stick to the principles of religion, like truthfulness, understanding that we are not the possessors, like ultimate possessor is Vishnu, and whatever has been given to us, it will go away. It is not permanent. And the ability to discriminate, even if your own guru is wrong, you must be able to like discriminate that, keeping the ultimate goal in mind, which is what he's going to do. He's not going to listen to Shukracharya, which we'll see in the upcoming verses.
Yeah, I mean, this raises the very important question about how do we decide whether the guru is wrong or not. Very sensitive question also, but yeah, maybe we can discuss it after the next section.
I was just going to say in that connection, and also to that connection of the Kripa Siddhas, Ramanujacharya, when he heard the secret of life, to chant, to how to get out of this life, and from his own guru, master. I don't know if he's one of the masters or is his like Diksha Guru. He said that don't tell it to anybody, because if you tell, then you will go to hell. But Ramanujacharya went and announced it to entire world, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So he went against the spiritual master, but then something like Bali Maharaj, I don't know. But then he also attained perfection.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that example, Mataji. Actually, so he's one of the 5 gurus of Ramanujacharya. His name is Tirukoshtiyur Nambi. So when Ramanujacharya, he says, until then that sampradaya was called Oran Vari Sampradaya, which means only one guru will tell it to only one disciple. That disciple will find only one disciple, test them. So Ramanujacharya was tested 18 times in excruciating ways for him to be qualified. And finally, Sri Ranganatha came to Tirukoshtiyur Nambi's dream, Ramanujacharya's guru's dream, and pleaded him to hand over the sampradaya to Ramanujacharya. Only then the guru then told the mantra, the Namo Narayana mantra. Then Ramanujar comes out and he sees people like cutting fruits, selling vegetables, farming, fishing, and he's like, how are these guys who are not able to meet their ends meet on a daily basis, how are they going to come to bhakti? If they can't feed their own family, where are they going to get the time to think about Krishna and bhakti and liberation? So he goes to the temple terrace in Tirukoshtiur, that's the name of the place, and he says, those who are interested in bhakti, come to me and I'll tell you that one mantra that will liberate you. So those who are interested, they start assembling, and he hands over the mantra to them. Then this guru is he's very, very, very furious. He comes and he curses Ramacharya. He's like, do you know what happens to a disciple who violates the guru's rule? And Ramacharya says, yes, the disciple will burn in hell. And he's like, and the guru says, so you still did it knowing that you're going to burn in hell? And then Ramanacharya says, I'm extremely sorry for doing this, but if all of these people, jivas, are going to get liberated, but I'm going to be the only one who's going to burn in the hell, then let me burn in the hell. And then the guru actually then he's like completely like touched, and he starts crying, and he hugs Ramanujacharya, and he says this word, it's called Yem Perumano Ni, which means are you my God? Yem Peruman means my God. So that's why Ramanujar is also known as Yem Perumana, because his own guru addresses him as my God. My own God. So that's the but here the guru basically realizes the glories of Ramanujacharya, and then the guru then kind of like he kind of like reverses his curse in this pastime. Yeah, and just to touch upon Jagannath Prabhu's question, I think we discussed about this even in Dhruv Maharaj's pastime, where when Narad Muni persuades him to like not go and do tapasya, Dhruv Maharaj actually doesn't listen. He says, no, I've put my mind on this, and hence I am going to go and do my tapas on Lord Vasudev. So I think yes, it's a very sensitive subject, but I think the ultimate goal is Vishnu worship, or Krishna worship. So if our gurus deviate from that, I think we should still be like kind of like wary of it, and if we see that there is any deviation, then we should always, and for us, I think we have like a community of seniors, mentors, devotees, whom we can like have a close feedback system and see, hey, this is what I'm thinking, is this correct? This is what I'm feeling, is this correct? And we can always be course corrected. But I think even Prabhupada writes about it. I do not remember where, but I saw it somewhere in Instagram, where Giriraj Swami's notes from the books are shared, and where he has mentioned that yes, we should all be wary of the fact that the ultimate goal is to like go back to Krishna.
Got it. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so are there any other points? If not, we can go to the next 10 verses if someone wants to read.
There is
Mataji, I had a
message.
question.
Yeah, yes. Yes, Prabhu.
So when you said that, like, the point which Jitendra Prabhu, I mean Jagannath Gopal Prabhu asked about, like, following your guru's orders, I feel that it does not make, like, complete sense to compare Dhruva Maharaj and Bali Maharaj over here, because when Narada Muni, Narad Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj, like, when he told Dhruva Maharaj that, like, you're too young for this, you should probably, like, go back. I thought we concluded that was Narada Muni testing Dhruva Maharaj's resolve and testing Dhruva Maharaj's bhakti.
Yeah.
But is Shukracharya doing that to Bali Maharaj over here, or but he's only protecting Bali Maharaj, right? He's not doing it with the intention of testing Bali Maharaj's resolve.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, it's not so the goal here was, I think the point of contention here was just about listening to Guru versus not listening to your guru at all times. But you're right, like Shukracharya's intentions are not the same as Narada Muni, so we are not comparing the intention of Narada Muni and Shukracharya. This is just about, can a spiritual master's orders be disobeyed? If it can be disobeyed, under what circumstances?
Okay, got it.
So what you mentioned about the community of Vaishnavas, that is very important, because that is the sole reason why Prabhupada ordered GBC to be formed. But he knew that one person, so Prabhupada knew very well that power corrupts, and this is a very well-known principle. Unless somebody is like a very, and he knew that he initiated these young devotees who were in their 20s, and he made them GBC. So he knew that they are all vulnerable. So so that is why he instituted the GBC. Now, I'd heard a talk by Bhakti Charu Swami where he was mentioning that the whole point of GBC is that one person doesn't get all the power, and if anybody is weak, then the others can pull him up. So that is a very important point. And even during ISKCON Disciples course, they very specifically mention when the guru can be rejected. So the guru, like, I believe one of the things that is said is if the guru is hopelessly engaged in sense gratification, or to a point that is beyond repair and things like that, there are certain symptoms that are given when. And then, as you said, you made a very nice point where even though you see certain things, you should actually first check with the senior Vaishnavas already present, and then the correct course of action can be taken. So because it could happen that we might be speculating something, and if everything is good, if we say that a guru in good standing is actually we need to reject such a guru, then that's a big offense. That's a great offense. So we have to, the community of devotees is beneficial for a person at the level of guru as well as for a sadhaka. So you mentioned that very rightly. So the community of devotees is very important. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said GBC should be made, but they did not make the GBC in Gaudiya Math. And then we know what happened with Gaudiya Math. So that is why Prabhupada was very strong that GBC should be made. But in any case, I just wanted to emphasize on that point of community, that when we are together, it's a different thing. With the course can be corrected, as you said. So
Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing very wonderful insights and kind of like proving a point with what happened in Gaudiya. I actually didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that.
No worries, Mataji. Actually, I can't see the chat. I am on my office Zoom, so I'll just log out and log back in. You guys can continue.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So who wants to read next? Those are reading next will get pasta from Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Manishika Nupur, please. Hari, wait, I don't think I can hear you guys.
Can you hear now, Mataji?
Yeah, it's a little feeble, but yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering. Yeah, take it away. Text 11.
Thank you. Oh, great sage, great saintly persons like you, being completely aware of the Vedic principles for performing ritualistic ceremonies and yagyas, worship Lord Vishnu in all circumstances. Therefore, whether that same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benedictions or to punish me as an enemy, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. Although he is Vishnu himself, out of fear he has covered himself in the form of Brahmana to come to me begging. Under the circumstances, because he has assumed the form of a Brahmana, Even if he irreligiously arrests me or even kills me, I shall not retaliate, although he is my enemy. If this Brahmana really is Lord Vishnu, who is worshipped by Vedic hymns, he would never give up his widespread reputation. Either he would lie down, having been killed by me, or he would kill me in a fight. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued. Therefore, thereafter, the spiritual master Shukracharya, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, cursed his exalted disciple Bali Maharaj, who was so magnanimous and fixed in his truthfulness that instead of respecting his spiritual master's instruction, he wanted to disobey his order. Although you have no knowledge, you have become so called learned person, and therefore you dare be so impudent as to obey my disorder. Because of disobeying me, you shall very soon be bereft of all your opulence. Shukadev Goswami continued. Even after being cursed in this way by his own spiritual master, Bali Maharaj, being a great personality, never deviated from his determination. Therefore, according to custom, he first offered water to Vaman Dev and then offered him the gift of land he had promised. Bali Maharaj's wife, known as Vindhyavali, who was decorated with a necklace of pearls, immediately came and had a large golden water pot brought there, full of water, with which to worship the Lord by washing his feet. Bali Maharaj, the worshipper of Lord Vamandev, jubilantly washed the Lord's lotus feet and then took the water on his head, for that water delivers the entire universe. At that time, the residents of the higher planetary system, namely the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, the Siddhas, and the Charanas, all being very pleased by Bali Maharaj's simple, non-duplicitous act, praised his qualities and showered upon him millions of flowers. The Gandharvas, the Kimpurushas, and the Kinnaras sounded thousands and thousands of kettle drums and trumpets again and again, and they sang in great jubilation, declaring how exalted a person is Bali Maharaj and what a difficult task he has performed. Even though he knew that Lord Vishnu was on the side of his enemies, he nonetheless gave the Lord the entire three worlds in charity. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you very much for reading the next 10 verses. Yeah, so these next 10 verses actually describe about in some sense it's a continuation of what we talked in the previous 10 verses, where Bali Maharaj's determination on worshipping, on offering the charity to Vishnu and worshipping Vishnu, as opposed to his guru Shukracharya's instructions, is like more and more prominent. I'm just gonna admit someone. Yes, more and more prominent, and it also shows how surrendered Bali Maharaj is actually. So Prabhupada actually writes in the earlier purports that worshipping of Lord Vishnu is the ultimate goal. And Bali Maharaj, very well aware of that fact, is completely surrendered. He's so ready that he's like, okay, even if whether I'm protected or if I'm killed, I'm going to go ahead and make this charity. I am completely determined. He's like extremely completely placed in the devotional platform, ready to offer this charity. And actually in the text 12, in this verse, he actually Prabhupada actually writes about how he basically says, although he's Vishnu himself, out of fear, he has covered himself in the form of a Brahmana to come to me begging. And actually, Prabhupada writes that Krishna likes to enjoy a little bit of a humor. So even if he had come in his own Vishnu form and asked for 3 pieces of land, Bali Maharaj would have given it. But he decides to just enjoy a little bit of a banter. He covers himself up as a dwarf Brahmana and begs Bali Maharaj. And actually in one of the Divya Prabandhams written by South Indian Alvars, there's a very beautiful verse that basically says, when Krishna became Vamana, so the first thing he did was he draped himself with deer skin, because he had to hide the Kaustubha money, and Shri, the goddess of fortune, also who also resides in his chest. He was like, I can't show her, because if I'm going to show her, then how am I going to beg him anything? Because I have the whole world with myself, and it's shown, it's evident when the goddess of fortune is sitting right on his chest. So he first covers himself, and then he's practicing how to beg, because he's never used to begging. Like he's only giving. He has never begged anything from anyone, so he doesn't know how to like hold his fingers for begging. So he's like practicing, and a goddess of fortune is like laughing at him. He's like, how are you going to go and ask Bali? You don't even know how to ask. And I think the verse goes like, she teaches him how to like beg. Okay, cup your hands, like put your fingers together. It's a very sweet verse. I don't remember the verse exactly, but I've heard this in some Kalakshepams. And in text 13, actually, this statement, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about this statement. He would lie down having been killed by me. Prabhupada actually kind of like explains a little bit on this statement. It doesn't mean that, I mean, nobody can kill Krishna or Vishnu. It's not like Krishna would have been killed by Bali Maharaj. He says the phrase lie down here actually means that Bali Maharaj will Krishna will reside within the core of Bali Maharaj's heart. The only way Krishna can get defeated is through someone's like love, someone's complete surrender and devotional service. There is no other way Krishna can be defeated. And as the verses progress, we can see the strong contrast between how much love that Bali Maharaj has for Godhead versus like Shukracharya is shown as a priest who like follows a lot of like rituals, smartas, and this actually is also present in Bhagavad Gita, the verse Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadhami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mamupayanti Te. And let me just read the translation. So, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So Prabhupada explains that as devotees who actually engage in devotional service with faith and love are inspired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we are very sincere, even if we don't know what's the next step, a lot of us will have so many conflicts. Even Jagannath was talking about, okay, who do we listen? What about this person? I don't know if I can trust this person in my spiritual community. But I personally feel like if our questions, if what we are seeking is sincere, Krishna actually always shows the way and pulls us out. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you here also have very similar experiences. So devotional service and sincerity, I think, is like the important theme of these 10 verses. Like that would be my take home point. And I listened, and this verse 15, right? I just want to open this. So I was listening to Amarendra Prabhu, and he actually was talking about something super interesting. So he basically says, so here Shukracharya is cursing Bali Maharaj, right? So he basically says, although you have no knowledge, you have become a so-called learned person, and therefore you dare be so impudent as to disobey my order. Because of disobeying me, you shall very soon be bereft of all your opulence. So this is actually a curse that Shukracharya intentionally gives. But what Amarendra Prabhu, I don't think it's mentioned exactly in that way in the purport here, but Amarendra Prabhu is mentioning that Krishna inspires Saraswati, who basically makes Shukracharya twist the words. So if you look at the word Panditamani, it actually means considering yourself to be learned. But if you actually twist the word, I think Prabhupada actually wrote about that here. Okay, I'm not going to go into that technical detail, but if you actually twist that word slightly, it also means even Pandits will give respect. So Panditamani, basically, Shukracharya meant to say, considering yourself to be learned, but actually it gets slightly flipped, and it becomes even pandits will give you respect. And ajnana means didn't know or ignorance. So nya means knowledge. Ajnana is like no knowledge. So I didn't know. And I think the way you say ajnana, if you flip it, it becomes there is nothing that you don't know, in the sense that that person who's an ajnana, like the flipped version, that person has nothing more to learn. That person is situated in the perfect devotional service. So just to recap, Pandita Mani, instead of becoming considering yourself to be learned, becomes even pandits will give you respect. And ajnana becomes from no knowledge, it becomes there is nothing you need to know, you know everything. And stabaha means stabdah means arrogant. And another interpretation of stabdah is not bowing down to any pressure. So here, impudent or arrogance, that's what it actually Shukracharya meant to say. But when you flip it, it actually becomes he's someone who bows down only to Sri Hari. Like no other pressure can make him bow down. And then I think there is just two more. So the second last one is asmat upekshaya, which means disregarding. That's what Shukracharya meant to say. But another interpretation of that is, it is fine for you to neglect my words for a higher cause. So I'll summarize what the flipped version looks like in a bit. I just want to explain the terms before that. And achirat brashyase. And if you say it as chirat abrashyase, it actually means, it becomes from will fall down to will forever have opulence. So basically, I'll now form the statement that Shukracharya meant to say. So he basically says, "Oh Bali Maharaj, you are considering yourself to be learned, but you know nothing. You are arrogant, you are disregarding, hence you shall fall down." That's what Shukracharya meant to say. But when Ma Saraswati kind of like sitting on his tongue, tweaks the words here and there, what he actually ends up saying is, "Oh Bali Maharaj, even Pandits will give you respect. There is nothing you don't know. You do not bow down to any pressure, but only to Sri Hari. It is fine for you to neglect my words for a higher cause, and for eternity, you will have opulence." So his curse actually becomes a blessing. So this curse gets literally twisted into a blessing, and actually Bali Maharaj ends up getting the opulence, and Lord Hari becomes his gatekeeper, which we'll see in future verses. But this was like 15th verse is like my favorite. I really enjoyed learning about it, where Krishna himself actually protects his devotees. Like he literally twisted the curse given by Shukracharya into an amazing blessing. And I think like that's like my second take home point. Like Krishna actually like is like always with you, and depending on our intention, he actually always reciprocates. Bali Maharaj didn't even pray to Lord Vishnu to like save him from facing the wrath of his guru, but Krishna still enacted this amazing twist of words that ended up turning a curse into a blessing. And I think in the following verses, we basically get to know about how Bali Maharaj initiates the process of charity, and how even like the demigods in the higher planetary system are like celebrating it. So with that, I'm going to just open the floor for further discussions, comments, questions, anything that you guys might have. Is there anything that stuck you? Any reflections, something that I might have missed or misspoke?
So this turning curses into a blessing is a very beautiful point. And we've seen this, and Radhanath Maharaj repeatedly emphasizes this, that curses can also be blessings, you know, if we know the right way to take the curse. So you beautifully explained the other interpretation of the verse, 15th verse, which is really beautiful. I would like to know more details about that. Definitely. But this is very nice, and yeah, there is a nice incident that happens in Ramayana that so what happens is when Sugriva is going to send his he has to send 4. So this is after Chaturmasya, when the search for Sita resumes. So that time Sugriva creates 4 parties, and he deputes all those 4 parties in all the 4 directions, and he does that, and he's like telling each party very expertly, okay, if you go here you will see this place, then you go in this direction you will see this place. He knows every little detail of every place that was there, and everybody is astonished, how come Sugriva knows all these little details of the whole land, you know, the subcontinent of India. And he's very impressed. I mean, everyone is very impressed with Sugriva. And then they ask him, how come you know? Then Sugriva says that actually when Vali was out to kill me, again I won't go into the story of Vali, but his brother Vali is somehow the circumstances so happen that Vali thinks that Sugriva has cheated him and things like that. And so Vali, who is a much stronger person, he's trying to kill Sugriva, and he's chasing Sugriva in order to kill him. And when he's chasing Sugriva, Sugriva goes to all the nook and corners of India, like all the Indian subcontinent, everywhere he goes. So he says that I went because I was running from Vali. I actually had to run everywhere in the whole Indian land, and wherever I went, I completely, remembered whatever was there. So like that. So this apparent curse, and this is so we are talking about an apparent difficult situation before Sugriva met Ram. So before Sugriva met Ram, this thing happened, and now Sugriva is able to use it in Ram's service. Right. So one of I think I was hearing Shubhavilas Prabhu about this. Braj Bihari Prabhu about this. He narrates this incident, and Braj Bihari Prabhu says that we should not regret the past the difficult situations that have come upon us before we started practicing bhakti also, because Krishna is so magnanimous that if we have the right attitude, he will use those incidents also in devotional service. I mean, those incidents that we faced, which were unfortunate even before we came to bhakti. After we come to bhakti, of course, we are told that we should see everything as the mercy of Krishna, should see everything as as a situation given to us by Krishna, and we should pray as to how we can respond correctly. But yeah, even before we come in touch with bhakti, whatever unfortunate situations we do face, those can be utilized in the service of Krishna. So it was a really powerful point for me, and how Krishna is so magnanimous that he can turn this, apparent curses into blessings. So
yeah, very, very, very beautiful, Prabhu. Very nice connection, and very different perspective for looking at the challenges that we have gone through in in life. Thank you for sharing that.
And one more story I would like to tell you. I had texted you that I wanted to tell you a story about Chinnaji Swami, right?
Yeah.
So, this is slightly related, but the story is about how Chinnaji Swami ended up coming to the US. Do you know this story?
I do not, Prabhu.
So Chinnajiyar Swami has, I think, his personal Lakshmi Narayan deities, right? So he worships these deities, and these deities are very dear to him. So what happened is, many years ago, many of his devotees, his disciples, started inviting him to the United States, in the Western countries. Please come, please come. But then he was like, my own guru did not go to the Western world, so how can I go to the Western world? I'm unqualified. So he never really paid heed to those requests. And then one day, what happened is, somehow, due to some mysterious circumstances, those deities got stolen. And apparently, those deities are made of some very rare kind of metal, and they got stolen. And he was in a lot of anxiety. And then finally, after a lot of search, they found those deities. And those deities, when they found, the smugglers, they caught them, and they recovered the deities, and they asked the smugglers, what were you going to do with the deities? So the smugglers said, we were going to send the deities to the Western world, to some country in the West, because we were going to get money out of that. And then now this is very beautiful again, how this apparent curse, this apparent unfortunate situation of deities getting stolen, how Chinnajiyar Swami, he flipped that completely by the mercy of Krishna. He said that, my dear lords, if you want to go to the West, then please don't go alone. At least take me with you. So that way he started traveling to the West. So that is the story. Yeah, which was really beautiful, and one devotee was sharing with me recently. Yeah. So yeah, this apparent unfortunate situation of the deities getting stolen. If maybe I was in his place, then I would have said, no, now that I've recovered, now I'll not do anything, right? And this ties into another point of who is in control. This who is in control is a very important point that comes out of this. But in any case, so Chinnajiyar Swami, rather than saying that, oh, now that the deities are back, now I'll not travel anywhere, now I'll take extra care of the deities, rather than saying that, he knew that the deities are in control. He took their being stolen not as something where the deities became vulnerable, or the deities became weak, or the deities were defeated. He took that as their own plan. So like that, I guess, if we also can have that consciousness that the Lord is in control, and the Lord is our ever well-wisher, and he's in control, and he's doing something for our ultimate benefit, then even we can, by the Lord's mercy, we can turn these curses into blessings. Of course, a lot of this is theory for me, but just by hearing all these examples, wonderful examples of great souls like Bali Maharaj right now, like Chinnajiyar Swami, and Prabhupada, and so many innumerable great souls. It gives me hope that I can somehow reach that.
Absolutely. Yeah, wonderful, Prabhu. Actually, so it's I really like the last point. So I'm just trying to find my charger. The last point that you made is describing the perspective that Chinnajiyar Swami had. I think that's something that even I realized this year. Earlier, like even at the slightest something goes wrong, or somebody in the temple like chastises me, I'll be like, oh no, like oh no, it's gone, like I'm not qualified, like I cannot do the same anymore. But then I think I had this realization that the very fact that I'm thinking like that means I have ego. Like I had this ego that I'm such a better devotee, that because I got chastised, like I actually took offense, which means I was very assuming of myself. And it was a very shocking realization. And I think I've been working on like letting go of that, and I can actually see that change, because you said it, you summarized it amazingly. We are not in control, like the deities, and so there is nothing for me to worry about. thank thank you for sharing this pastime and kind of reminding that reminding all of these important points as we are moving into a new year. I think this is something to meditate upon, and maybe I'll put it as my 2024 goals.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, Lekha, for sharing so many amazing pastimes. And then Jagannath Prabhu adding to it that the sweet pastime of Chinna J.R. Swami. It's like so glad to hear this. That how Krishna manifests greatness of his devotees, and the point that Prabhu insisted on, that like how the devotees at this very higher spectrum of realization, they can interpret like the heart of Lord and what they want. Like I mean, yeah, he didn't decided that I will take more care and don't travel anywhere, but like he understood the heart of his deities, and then he started traveling. So this is like very confidential communication between his deities and the devotee, dear devotee. So thank you for sharing that. And I also loved the pastime that you shared, Lekha, about how like the Vaman Deva, he was practicing begging. This is so sweet. Like this is Bhagavatam, the pure nectar, like that. Krishna became Sarathi, and then whatnot, became baby of Yashoda, and now like Krishna became like now he's practicing like how to beg like perfectly from his devotee. So and the Lakshmi is guiding him. Like this is very beautiful that like from Divya Prabandh, right? You are quoting that how she's singing and teaching him, like hold fingers like this, hold hands like this. You better be good at it. So thank you so much for like adding so much sweetness. It was an amazing lecture with all your explanations, take home points, and all the annotations and references. It really made a huge impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Okay, so we have about 14 more minutes. If everyone is done sharing, we can move to the next 10 verses. Okay. Okay, looks like we can. Anybody who wants to read the next 10 verses?
You can read, Mataji. Sorry.
Oh, Kameshwar Prabhu, thank you very much.
Yeah, from
Text 21.
2021, yes. The unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of Vamana, then began increasing in size, acting in terms of the material energy until everything in the universe was within his body, including the earth, the planetary systems, the sky, the directions, the various holes in the universe, the seas, the oceans, the birds, beasts, human beings, the demigods, and the great saintly persons. Bali Mahāraja, along with all the priests, and members of the assembly, observed the true personality of Godhead's universal body, which was full of 6 opulences. That body contained everything within the universe, including all the gross material elements, the senses, the sense objects, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, the various kinds of living entities, and the actions and reactions of the 3 modes of material nature. Thereafter, Bali Maharaja, who was occupying the seat of King Indra, could see the lower planetary systems such as Rasatala on the soles of the feet of the Lord's universal form. He saw on the Lord's feet the surface of the globe, on the surface of his calves all the mountains, on his knees the various birds, and on his thighs the varieties of air. Bali Maharaja saw beneath the garments of the Lord, who acts wonderfully, the evening twilight. In the Lord's private parts, he saw the Prajapatis, and in the round portion of the waist, he saw himself with his confidential associates. In the Lord's navel, he saw the sky. On the Lord's waist, he saw the 7 oceans, and on the Lord's bosom, he saw all the clusters of stars. My dear king, on the heart of Lord Murari, he saw religion. On the chest, both pleasing words and truthfulness. In the mind, the moon. On the bosom, the goddess of fortune, with a lotus flower in her hand. On the neck, can you scroll up?
Yes, Prabhu.
My dear king, on the heart of Lord's Murari, he saw religion. On the chest, both pleasing words and truthfulness. In the mind, the moon. On the bosom, the goddess of fortune, with a lotus flower in her hand. On the neck, all the Vedas and all sound vibrations. On the arms, all the demigods, headed by King Indra. In both ears, all the directions. On the head, the upper planetary systems. On the hair, the clouds. In the nostrils, the wind. On the eyes, the sun. And in the mouth, fire. From his words came all the Vedic mantras. On his tongue was the demigod of water, Varunadeva. On his eyebrows were the regulative principles, and on his eyelids were day and night. When his eyes were open, it was daytime, and when they were closed, it was night. On his forehead was anger, and on his lips was greed, O king. In his touch were lusty desires. In his semen were all the waters. On his back was religion, and in his wonderful activities or steps was the fire of sacrifice. On his shadow was death. In his smile was illusory energy, and on the hairs of his body were all the drugs and herbs. In his veins were all the rivers. On his nails were all the stones. In his intelligence were Lord Brahma, the demi persons, and throughout his entire body and senses for all living entities, moving and stationary. Bali Mahārāja thus saw everything in the gigantic body of the Lord. O king, when all the demons, the followers of Mahārāja Bali, saw the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who held everything within his body, when they saw in the Lord's hand his disc, known as Sudarsana Chakra, which generates intolerable heat, and when they heard that the tumultuous sound of his bow, all these caused lamentation within their hearts. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Do you wanna read these 4 verses as well, Prabhu?
Okay, Master. The Lord's conch shell named Panchajanya, which made sounds like that of a cloud, the very forceful club named Kaumodaki, the sword named Vidyathara, with a shield decorated with hundreds of moon-like spots, and also Akshayasayaka, the best of quivers. All of these appeared together to offer prayers to the Lord. These associates, headed by Sunanda and other chief associates, and accompanied by all the predominating deities of the various planets, offered prayers to the Lord, who wore a brilliant helmet, bracelet, and glittering earrings that resembled fish. On the Lord's bosom were the lock of hair called Srivatsa and the transcendental jewel named Kaustuba. He wore a yellow garment covered by a belt, and he was decorated by a flower garland surrounded by bees. Manifesting himself in this way, O King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are wonderful, covered the entire surface of the earth, with one step, the sky with his body, and all directions with his arms. As the Lord took his second step, he covered the heavenly planets. Not even a spot remained for the third step, for the Lord's foot extended higher and higher beyond Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, and seven Satyaloka, and even Satyaloka.
Thank you very much, Kameshwar Prabhu, for reading these 14 verses. So yeah, this is a very magnanimous set of last 14 verses that actually talks about everything that we can imagine, we see, we can feel, and Krishna actually shows here that all of that belongs to him. And he's shown that in his universal form. Like, we've seen this one version of universal form when Krishna gives his universal form darshan to Arjuna. And here he gives it to Bali Mahārāja, and those who are assembled in the holiest assemblies, like to witness this. It's just it's beyond imagination what it must have felt like, and we can actually see various emotions that go through all of these. Excuse me, for all of these people who are assembled, even the heavenly demigods, like they're all like lamenting, they're all trembling, some of them are astounded, like so many emotions. I mean, you can only imagine. I was just remembering about this temple. There is this temple called Ulagalanda Perumal in Kanchipuram. I'm just going to show a picture. Ulagalanda Perumal, Kanchipuram. I know a lot of you guys go for South Indian yatra. When you go to Kanchipuram, you should, like, for sure go visit this deity. He's actually Trivikrama deity, and I don't know why this is not loading. Come on. Okay. What?
Our Krishnan Prabhu was just there actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
this
Okay.
week.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing. He actually, okay, quiz time, since Gaur Kumar Prabhu just reminded me of quiz time. Can somebody guess how tall this deity of this is a Trivikrama deity, basically. If you guys can see, can somebody guess how tall he must be? This is a more actual picture, realistic picture. This is the actual deity. Any wild guesses on how tall this deity must be?
20 feet.
20 feet. Okay. Next guess. Anybody else? Go more ambitious. Wait, sorry.
50.
Nupur says 10 in the chat. Actually, there are messages in the chat also. You should read.
Oh, sorry, Mataji. I was completely. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I should read the chat. No. Jagannath Prabhu was slightly closer, but you should go a little bit more.
25.
35 feet.
35. Okay.
Yeah, so he is 35 feet. Maybe Krishna Prabhu can talk a little bit more about the deity if he has visited. Like, amazing mind. Like, if you go and stand in front of him, you will not come out. Like, he is just magnanimous. Like, actually, honestly, the first time I saw him, I was scared. I'm telling the truth. I was scared, and he was only 35 feet. So I can't imagine. I mean, obviously, these heavenly bodies are way more better than me. But imagine, like, looking at Krishna, like he's like everywhere, expanding. Like Anor Aniyan became Mahato Mahiyan. Like the smaller than the smallest became the bigger than the biggest. So please, if you ever go to Chennai, he's just like one-ish hour from Chennai. Like, please go and see this. So this is where we will be standing at with this. This is called as Utsava deity. Utsava deity is the one who's taken on processions. We are usually at his height or a little bit more taller than him. So we are probably somewhere here, and then this picture actually not even has his whole image, like his head goes even further up. So like it must have been one of the most magnanimous visuals. And actually, Prabhupada writes in the purport, I think he writes that in this verse, like text 21. He's like, no, we really cannot offer anything to Krishna. Everything belongs to him. And every day in Sandhya, even in Sandhya Vandanam and in certain other sadhanas every morning, we take water from Ganga and we offer it back to Ganga. The water was never ours to offer, but still we just show her respect, some love, some kind of obeisances, paying obeisances. So similarly, Bali Maharaj gave what was Krishna back to Krishna. And when Krishna is actually like, when things are given back to Krishna and all the living entities are benefited. Like, Prabhupada mentions this in some of the earlier verses. What he writes about, yeah, you can give charity, but you never know where the charity is going to. Who is it benefiting? Are you really helping that person by giving charity? Are you feeding the person or teaching anything that the person can use to make his or her life better? But when something is done in terms of Krishna consciousness, like for example, if you're opening temple, first thing is you're feeding a lot of people. Second is you are giving them an institution to like correct their behavior, give an opportunity where their basic necessities like shelter and food are taken care of. Now that that's taken care of, can you like work on your habits and improve your consciousness? So Prabhupada says that opening more temples, more spiritual communities is actually like good charity that connects us all back to Krishna and nourishing us from the root. And also the statement goes, right, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is everything and everything belongs to Krishna. Everything rests in the body of Krishna. So Krishna actually, when he expands, he actually, Kameshwar Prabhu is reading about how different things are shown in like different areas of Krishna. Like his knees showed, his legs and knees were showing, like just look at this purport, right? Like bird and varieties of hair. Like just reading at this description is just magnanimous. Anything and everything, like his veins are his rivers, like his nails are stones. So anything and everything that we can see, it all belongs, like everything. Like this is just, I can look at anything and be like, okay, this belongs to Krishna. This is the description of the universal form of the Lord. And I think even in verse 32 and 33, actually, Prabhupada writes it in the purport. It's a very sweet way where I think Jiva Goswami mentions this, that okay, Krishna asked only for 3 paces of land. Like, why is he taking which? So if we walk, it's usually just a 2D, right? We are walking on the ground. So if I say 3 footsteps, I am taking just 3 footsteps. It should be a 2D thing. Why is this a 3D thing? Like, why is he occupying like everything in the air? And actually, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that, for example, if I'm walking, it's not just my feet is walking and my rest of the body is like sitting where it was sitting, right? Like if I'm walking, I am standing up and walking. So I am occupying some space on the 3rd dimension. And hence, it's okay for Krishna to also occupy all the lokas, because when he's growing, he's not growing in 2D, he's growing in 3D. So it's not something that we have to be worried about or think that it's uncommon. It's common. When you're walking, you're also occupying some space in all the dimensions. So Krishna is also doing the same. So there's nothing to be bewildered. It's yeah, so this is, these last 10 verses really like it blows our mind on there is one thing about completely perceiving it, and there is one thing about relishing it within the context in which we can understand. And I just feel like these last 14 verses are serving that purpose. In whatever context we can see Krishna, they have put everything together. Shukadev Goswami has put everything together and given and he has like given it to us for relishing. Yeah, are there any like reflections discussions, we can just open this floor for. And sorry, I've not been looking at the chats. I will look at it right now. Yeah, any discussions? Anything that you guys?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Master. Very, very amazingly just explained today's session. Actually, especially text 15, you nicely mentioned that how Goddess Saraswati has twisted the curse of Sukracharya. You nicely explained that. And also in the connection, I just recollecting the incident, one incident where a curse turned to be a boon. For Arjuna went to get celestial weapons, and he visits Swargaloka. He was cursed by Urvasi. So then she curses him to be an eunuch, like not to be important. Then he prays her, like, no, because I am like your son and all. Then she reduces. I can't reverse this curse, but I can make it for your convenience. I can make it for 1 year. So then that curse helped him a lot during Ajñātavasa. So during Ajñātavasa, he has to be away from, he becomes a Brahmanvala. And that curse really helps him to be completely hide his identity as Arjuna. So in the court of Virat Raja, he becomes a Brahmanvala, a dance teacher, and that curse helps him a lot. So that incident I recollect when we are talking about how a curse can be turned to a boon, and that in our regular life also sometimes we don't know, like as Jama Gopal Prabhu nicely explained, that even before coming to KCR or when we are in KCR, sometimes when we come across some sort of hurdles or some adversities, definitely that is a part of Krishna's plan to make them in the future, like to help us in our sadhana and all. So thank you very much. Very nicely explained and very amazing, and I like it very much. Today's session.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your encouraging words. And thank you for wonderfully stating this pastime, Prabhu. That's very true, actually. Arjuna's Ajñānavasa was very successful. And that, I think that's what made them also meet, like get Uttara and Abhimanyu married. So that's a really wonderful reminder. Thank you for sharing that pastime with us, Prabhu. Thank you. And if Krishnan Prabhu is online, if you can tell us if, I don't think he's online. Okay. I was just wondering if he could speak about the Ulagalanda Perumal, but it's not online. That's okay. Any other questions or reflections or discussions? If there is none, I think we're already 6 minutes over time, so we can finish the session.
I just want to thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful discussion. Very nicely led, very thoroughly researched and thoroughly studied, chapter with references from everywhere, and such a heartfelt expression of everything that you mentioned. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you very much. I mean, this is the kind of discussions that we intend to have through these Tuesday classes. So this is what helps us grow. This is what helps us go deeper into our Krishna consciousness, and that way go closer to Krishna. So yeah, really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much, actually, for encouraging me. And even just for others' information, like I was just trying to run through the concepts with Jagannath Prabhu, and I've been bugging him all of today, but I couldn't because I got really late at work, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to wing it. So thank you, Jagannath Prabhu, for actually being very open and very helpful, and even all the pastimes points that you bring out. There are a lot of take-home points that you discuss in every session. So thank you very much for that.
Yep.
It's Yeah.
Sorry, yes, bro. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jagannath Gopal.
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to say, yeah, it's a pleasure to serve everyone. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Kameshwar Prabhu and Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Lekha Mataji, you've done a wonderful job actually. It's amazing how much research you did and how nicely you prepared for today. So thank you so much for taking the time and putting your heart and soul and your devotion into this class. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yeah, no, every class I see you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, Kameshwar Prabhu, add so much. So most of what I've said is already I'm just repeating all that you have already said. Like I really haven't like added anything new. It's just a repetition of what all of you say and some that I hear whenever. Thank you for your encouraging words and for encouraging all of us in this group. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol Lekha.
Hare
It
Krishna
was
Mataji.
amazing, preparation actually. Yeah, it was mind blowing the 15th verse that you were dissecting every single Sanskrit word of it. It's amazing. Yeah, I need to go back and actually see what the original and the how it is like the words of certain things that you said, how it means another thing. Yeah, beautiful. All the pastimes and stories and bringing in other, like, the parallel Sri Vaishnava lectures and the pastimes, and also the Ulagalanda Perumal is amazing. Thank you so much. I really relished every single aspect of this class. Thank you. I cannot
Thank you so
talk
much.
loudly because she's sleeping next to me. My excitement is not shown, but
Oh, no. No, thank you very much, Mataji. I'll actually share Amarendra Prabhu's where so this dissection is actually basically I'm repeating what he said, so he actually explains it very nice. I made a tabular column. I wanted to make PowerPoint, but I didn't have the time, but I'll share the tabulation that I made. Thank you, Mataji. I'll just repeat what I said. I'm really repeating a lot of what I've learned from how much you contribute in every session. So I'm literally just repeating. So it's really nice to get that feedback from you. Thank you very much. Okay, so if there are no more discussions, I think it's already late for East Coast people. We can end the session if that's okay, Gaur Kumar Prabhu. Thank you so much for this opportunity. If I might have spoken certain statements, please forgive me if I did so, and please let me know so that I can correct myself for the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.